Hello, my name is Chief Edward Lee of the Hopkinton Police Department, and welcome to our first edition of a new show called Chief's Log. Basically, what we're going to try to do is kind of educate the public, show them what we're all about. We're going to have a different segment we're looking to do maybe each month, give out new initiatives, educate the public on certain scams that might be going on or some problems with crime in the area. Also take the opportunity to introduce our whole department. We'd certainly like to get every officer a chance to sit down with me in front of the camera and we can go over their duties and performance. A lot of times you see them out on the road driving in the cars and you don't really get the opportunity to find out more about that officer behind the wheel, and that's certainly one of our goals. And it's not just only our police officers, we also have a communications center that is filled with many professional dispatchers, so we'll try to get a few of them on too. Of course, a lot of people always have questions for the police department, so this would be a great opportunity as well to have a question and answer segment where you can send an email to me or go through HCAM asking anything that's on your mind, and I'll certainly do the best to answer any way I can. Sitting with me here today is my command staff. I'd like to introduce you to Lieutenant Joe Bennett and Lieutenant Jay Porter. You guys excited about the show?
I am. I'm very excited about it. You know, we talk all the time about ways to connect with the community, and this is just another way that I think we can connect and get our message out and be more available to them. Very excited.
I am as well. We have a incredible department, many young men and women that are coming on that are new to the community. We've done really well in our recruitment and selection, and I look forward to being able to highlight the people that we've hired and the people that have come on and so forth.
Now, the three of us are constantly working on programs. Goals are set through the town, and the lieutenants have their goals too, and we certainly try to dovetail them together. But we had a couple of exciting goals last year that we achieved, and one of them being the SROs and the addition of a canine. So I think those will be great shows.
Absolutely.
Yes. It's an exciting time. When I was younger in my career, when we first started the SRO program, we had the opportunity to have 2 full-time SROs. And unfortunately, due to budget restraints and so forth, we had to cut it back to 1. And our current SRO, Officer Powers, as I'm sure everybody knows, is one of the best in the state, if not in the whole United States, at what he does. But he's only one person, and as the school systems grow, we find that he was being drawn in different directions. So the addition of the actual 2 new officers is going to be a great impact both in the community and in the school systems.
Now, both of you are in charge of different divisions of the police department, and one of yours is communication. A lot of times dispatchers don't get the credit as officers do, so it'll be a good opportunity for your dispatchers to get some, shed a little light on what they do.
Absolutely. I'm hoping to share. I think people would be impressed at how difficult the job is and how much technology is in place. And I'm hoping to share that and educate the public and showcase all the good work that they do.
And of course, the show will not only be here in studio, we will take it on the road, inside the communications center, maybe a few ride-alongs with the police department, a little live PD action, and we're certainly looking forward to show everything that the Hopkinton policemen do, and how the public can be assured that their safety is of #1 importance to us. This first segment will deal with once again, the SRO, beginning of the school year. So we're going to see an interview with Phil Powers, and then we're going to meet our 2 brand new SRO officers. So we're looking forward to that, and we're looking forward to having many great shows.
My name's Phil Powers. police officer for Hopkinton Police, assigned to the Hopkinton Public Schools as a school resource officer. I've been a police officer in Hopkinton going on 31 years. Previous to that, I worked for the town of Upton. I started in Hopkinton in 1987. Like I said, I was on patrol. I got involved with the kids, and I went to DARE school and became a DARE officer. With that, later on, there was a grant for school resource officers. So I applied for that, and Jay Porter and myself, he was a primary school resource officer, and I was working part-time half on patrol and half into the schools. Jay had the high school, and I had the middle school at that time. The DARE program was a program that was throughout the United States to keep kids off of drugs. So it was a 12-week program. I'd go into the 5th grade once a week and teach them rights and wrongs of alcohol and drug abuse. Come up with all kinds of different ways to say no for peer pressure, and basically it was just to keep the kids drug and alcohol free. Then there was a federal grant for getting police officers into the schools. It was called the School Resource Officer Program. It started out in the western part of the country, out in California, and worked its way towards Massachusetts. And it's a great program where you're putting police in the schools, and not because we have problems in the schools, but it's just to be a resource to the kids, to the parents, to the administration, to the teachers, just to help kids through bullying situations. If somebody got in trouble, help them get through the court system, and just to be there for somebody to talk to. And most importantly is to build relationships between the police and the kids and the families. And I think it's a great program, and I've been doing it for around 16 years now, full-time in the high school and all the schools for the past 12 years. What I do is I'm here as the kids enter the school to greet the schools. Unfortunately, I'm only one, so I come up to the high school, and I'll alternate at sometimes going off to the other schools, but just to greet the kids so they get to know me. Me having all 5 schools, the kids grow from school, from the center school, now the Marathon Elementary, to the Elmwood School, to Hopkins, to the middle school, to the high school. They have a familiar face, being me, going from school to school to school. So you build this relationship through 12 years. Kids that are graduating now, I was part of their lives in their kindergarten and first grade years. I go to Washington or New York with the 8th grade to be part of that, and it's a good way to bond with the kids. They're going from 8th grade to high school, so they see me in a different light. I'd be wearing shorts and flip-flops. I wouldn't be wearing my uniform. Right. I go to Nature's Classroom with the 6th grade, and be a part of that. And I do a boat cruise with the seniors just before they graduate, and I go to the proms too. So it's just being a part of their lives, so they can trust somebody in law enforcement. And we put on a fishing derby, and a basketball game with the police and the Special Olympians. Just to build these bonds with the community. Last night we had the National Police Night out at the Common, where the community's invited. We have a cookout. We have all kinds of activities. We had a canine from the Sheriff's Department. So and these are all ways to build relationships with me, with the kids, but with the townspeople. The program has been such a success. Chief Lee sponsors and I don't know if sponsors the right word, but endorses it, and he is a strong supporter of this program, to the point where he just put on 2 more part-time SROs. So I know this is part-time, but with having 2 part-times, it will be like having 2 full-timers now in the school. So the SRO program is going to double this school year. So you may see some new faces in the school. I'll still be around. I still have all 5 schools, and they'll come to all 5 schools too. But we'll have a second body in the schools, which is going to be great. Probably my main goal is to make this school, the Hopkinton school system or district, the safest schools in the world. We do a lot with security at these schools. You have to get buzzed in twice. if you wanted just to drop off a lunch for your student, you don't even enter the building. We have a drop-off area, so we've added a lot of cameras to the building. So it is, every year we try to make the school safer and safer, and that's my ultimate goal, is just to make sure these kids are safe and they feel safe in the schools.
Welcome to the final segment of our new show, Chiefs Log. It's a pleasure to be with 3 special guests today. As we all know, the school year is beginning, and we have some exciting news from the police department. We will now have 3 SROs. A seasoned veteran, Phil Powers, who's been there for how many years now, Phil?
Around 16 years.
16 years. He's an icon at the school, but he could use a little backup, and that's why we have a new officer, Matthew Santoro, SRO officer. He's a veteran to the police department. How long now?
Coming up on 3 years now, Chief.
3 years. Long time. And our other new SRO, Officer Ben Stickney, who came from us from the Sherburne Police Department. You served how many years over there?
About 10 years.
Great. So what they're basically going to do, Phil will still be the full-time SRO, but these 2 gentlemen will be splitting time as an SRO officer. So basically it's going to be like a 2-man coverage around the clock, which is a great enhancement to our SRO program. I'd like to start off with Phil. I mean, you've been doing this a long time now. What are your thoughts and feelings about getting a little help?
Well, I think it's great. We have 5 schools in town, so I'm mainly in the high school, so it'll be great to have other officers meeting and greeting the kids in the morning, being available to the principals and the family. So I'm looking forward to this, and welcome aboard.
Okay. Matt?
Yeah, I'm excited to start this new opportunity. I think it'll be great to give Phil a hand in the schools and just be able to build some relationships with the younger kids in town, get to know people, and just let them know we're there for them and we're there to support them.
Ben?
I agree with both of what they had to say. I'm very excited to be able to start interacting with some of the youth within the town and help to be a little bit of a role model for them and answer any questions they may have.
Now, have you ever done any work like that over in Sherborne?
I've done some crime prevention work. I was fortunate enough to attend a crime prevention through environmental design course. So I did some work with the schools and mostly elementary age kids. But it was nice to go in and, they're always rambunctious. They have lots of questions. They're always, real interested in what we do. And it's nice to be able to, interact with them on that level.
Okay, so we know we just don't automatically just become an SRO with a magic wave of a wand from the chief, right?
Oh, yes,
Now there's some training involved. Now, why don't we start off with you, Matt, and just let us know some of the training that you already have and what you'll be going through in order to become an effective SRO.
Sure. So actually, Officer Stickney and I just attended ALICE training up in Winthrop, and we'll be attending School Resource Officer School as well. Basic training course for new school resource officers just coming into the field. This is my first time doing anything like this, so there'll definitely be a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm excited about the opportunity for sure.
Matt, not to throw you under the bus, but could you just explain, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know what ALICE is.
Sure, yeah. So ALICE training is kind of a new school of thought dealing with school safety. When there was a threat in schools, they used to say, lock down the room and just kind of huddle in the corner. ALICE is a way people can fight back in a different way and learn how to protect themselves and protect their students in the school.
There's more options, correct?
Yep.
So
More options. And
the student and
What
the
does the
staff.
acronym stand for?
So
Phil?
A is for alert,
Yeah.
L is for lockdown, I is for inform, C is for counter, and E is to evacuate. So you have 5 options now if there were to have a lockdown. So we still have the traditional lockdown, but if need be, teachers or students can choose to use one of the acronyms. And it's not in any certain order.
Can you give us a little background on what training you've had? Obviously, you've had the ALICE training, and you're an ALICE. Are you an ALICE instructor?
I am. Yeah, the superintendent and I went about 3 years ago. We went through the ALICE program, and it's a great program now that people have options. I also went through the SRO school, which Ben will be going through in a couple weeks, and Matt will be going shortly after that. And that's, a class, it's a week-long class that teaches you how to deal with the kids, situations that come up, role-playing. It's a very knowledgeable class, too. So. And just years of experience. I had all 5 schools, which I loved because kids going from school to school to school would have the same person, a familiar face going, because they get a little nervous going to different schools. So, yeah.
And I think a lot of people think when you think of a SRO officer that, especially in light of all the school shootings and incidents that's been going on throughout the country, people just kind of assume that an SRO is just there to be security.
No.
That's certainly not the case.
No, that is a part of the job, security, and we've done a lot through the past years with Kathy McLeod to make our schools safer. You'll notice when you try to get into a school, you have to go through a 2-lock system to get actually into the school. So there's a lot more cameras that we've put in the schools, but that is just one part of the job. Just interacting with the kids, building relationships between the kids and the police, that's key, that's very important. I go on trips with the kids, and these guys will be doing the same, but it's just getting their trust and helping them. If a kid may get arrested or run in trouble with the police, I'm there to help them to get through that process, through the court system if they were to be charged. So, and to help the parents if they're having problems with their child and which way they could go, for the help.
Now, one of the new things that is really taken off all over the country in police work is restorative justice. Do you get involved in that at all?
I do. We have the DA's restorative justice. If a child was to get charged with a crime, what I would do is I would fill out the paperwork, send the complaint to the district attorney's office, where we would come up with a contract between the DA's office, the police, and the family and the child to resolve the situation. If the consequences may be, they may have to write an essay, they may have to do community service. Usually no money is involved, but if they complete that program, and they'll have some type of probationary period, if they complete that program successfully, the charges never go forward to the courts, and they can actually say on any kind of college or job application that they've never been charged with a crime. And that's important to have. So it's giving you, a chance out there, and it's worked well in Hopkinton.
And a bigger component of that, too, is the actual victim in the crime. The victim actually is more involved, and I think the idea or theory behind it is for them to be made whole by the perpetrator and make amends for what they did.
That's correct. The victim has a big role in that part. We're actually finishing up on one right now, and we have the closing circle coming up very shortly.
So, not to put you guys on the spot, though, because we've hit you up first a couple times, so we'll go with Ben. But what do you think your role is, your most important role there at the school is going to be, especially dealing with a little bit of the younger age?
I think just like Phil said, I think, daily interaction with the kids, especially, the younger kids, just showing them that we're not just that security presence, that we're someone that they can come and talk to if they have an issue or, they need some mentoring, just building a relationship with those kids. So as they do, progress into high school and, they start interacting in the community a little bit more as far as driving and being out there in the community, they know that, we're a group that, you can approach and, we're there if they need us.
How about you, Matt?
Yeah, so building relationships with the younger kids is awesome, and that's what we're here for. And I think it's an important part of a school resource officer's job too, is to support the families, whether they're having problems at school or at home. As many people in the community will tell you, Phil's supporting several families at once, and he does a great job of it. So I think we'll help alleviate Phil's duties a little bit, and just give our support to the community.
And one thing about the school job, it doesn't go away when they graduate. kids come to you after they have college issues. They come to you after, even when they're finished college. So those relationships are key because they're with you, through life with them. So
Great.
your job doesn't end when they graduate.
Now, you'll have your hands still with the high school, and so you're certainly going to be a mentor to both of them. And no matter what training we send them to, obviously you're going to be the one that mentors them through a lot of stuff. But the middle school, that's a tough age group.
It is. And I just introduced Ben to about 60 incoming sixth graders, and it is. They're very nervous. And I just gave a sixth grader a ride home because her mother's car wouldn't start. But and she's very nervous going into the sixth grade. So we talked about it, and hopefully she'll be a little more relaxed going in. So it's the middle school is tough. It is, and not just Hopkinton. All middle schools I feel are tough. When you have sixth graders being so young in the same school as eighth graders, it's only a couple of years difference, but maturity-wise, it's a big gap there. So
It's kind of a lot of the formative
It is.
age in the middle school, and that's where you guys are going to have to come in and nip the would-be, problems in the future.
correct, and I think that even goes down to the fourth and fifth grade now.
Yeah.
Kids are starting stuff a lot earlier. So, I'm looking forward to these guys starting. It's very exciting to have more people, and they'll enjoy the job like I really
Yeah.
do, and they'll really shine with it.
And I think it'll be an advantage too that there's two of us that'll both be in middle school too. So on days when I'm not working, Ben will be there. So there's someone available most of the time for the kids.
It's basically 2 full-time offices in the school.
And my goal as a chief, and I think a lot of the people in the community want this too, is, to move toward moving, if not one of yous, but 2 of yous, maybe have a 2 full-time and another part-time, or, I think our school system is big enough in town, and I think the SRO program is important in town, that we could easily see 3 full-time SROs. And you have a lot of great ideas for the summer as well, and not just go back to patrol, but what are some of the ideas you've had?
Well, I like to do maybe a camp, or I wish Hopkinton had the summer school, but they don't. I believe it goes to Milford or another town. But just maybe start a youth camp for kids that are around during the summertime. Maybe even a junior police academy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, maybe if we teamed up with Parks and Recs, they do a lot of camps and things of that in town, and just keep that presence there year long. It's too bad that we have to get away with it, but, we do have budgets, and it's tough sometimes. But, and Phil has also expressed a lot of interest in assisting it with as a juvenile detective during the summer too, which is also a great idea.
We should get the old car 1 going with the school resource, so they have a nice car to drive. Get that antique going.
Not as nice as your new car.
That's
but-
right. Seniority.
So if those out there in the viewing audience don't know what Phil's talking about, it's his car he's been driving around for like 16 years. It's finally retired. We got him a new vehicle. Well, not brand new. Newer vehicle. And we painted it up, and we even put OP, Officer Phil, his initials on the side of the door.
Yeah, you notice the high school kids, they don't like to use all their words, so they, instead of saying Officer Powers or Officer Phil, it's just OP now, so. But I tell the kids, I don't care what you call me, as long as it's something positive, so, and they do.
Exactly. Now, another great thing about building those relationships with the kids, we've been able to, since I've been here a little over 4 years now, and working with Phil and detectives, we've gotten a lot of information from students, which is huge. It's not always easy to do, and we've headed off maybe parties that could end in tragedies or other incidents that going on in town, or maybe some problems that are going on in the home.
Yeah, and that is important to have these relationships with the kids, because they do tell you a lot, sometimes too much.
So hopefully you guys will foster those same relationships with the kids, and it's always about prevention.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely.
We're learning from the best. Phil knows. it's everybody in town loves Phil, so hopefully we get that same relationship.
Well,
with
knowing your
everyone.
character, you will.
Well, I just want to congratulate the two of you again. You were top of our list for people to become SROs, and I know you're both going to do an outstanding job. And Phil, I just want to thank you for your constant commitment to the school resource officer program, and be a sad day when we see you walk out those doors. But
Well, thank you, Chief, and I'm looking forward to these guys, being part of the program, so welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you,
Thank you.
Chief, for all
Thank
your
you, Chief.
support through this
oh,
program.
absolutely, I appreciate it. Well, that's it for this episode of Chief Vlog. We look forward to seeing you within the next month with our new episode. Thank you very much.
Have you ever considered texting and driving? If so, you should know the consequences. If caught texting and driving for the first time, you could get an $100 fine plus your license taken away for 60 days. The consequences only get worse the more you get caught. Even if you don't get caught, there could be serious effects. You could get into a car accident and hurt yourself or someone else. Texting and driving is a very dangerous combination, so stop before this happens to you.
So what are the signs of an opioid overdose, and how can I recognize that somebody is experiencing one? Well, they're actually pretty easy to spot. A person who is experiencing an overdose may appear confused and have a decreased level of consciousness and alertness. They also may have constricted pupils.
When you see somebody who's experiencing an overdose, the number one most important thing to do first is to call 911. Next, do rescue breathing. And finally, take out your naloxone kit and administer the naloxone. Naloxone comes in an easy-to-use package with instructions for how to use it. Each box of naloxone may look different. They're all very easy to use, and you do not need medical training in order to use it.
So who should have nasal naloxone? Well, everybody should have it, to help a loved one who may be suffering from a substance abuse disorder, or just to help a stranger in need. Obtaining naloxone is easy. You can obtain it from your doctor, from a pharmacy standing order, or from any of the Department of Public Health sites.
By just following these simple steps, you might just be able to save a life.